Hello mixtresses and mixters, this is mixtressrae. You're watching Mixtress video. First roller skating injury, I sprained my thumb. I fell and I like came down like this and sort of bent my thumb kind of backwards. Did get x-rays, nothing's broken. Gonna have to pay for those when I get the bill from the insurance. I have no idea how much that's gonna cost, but anyway, so that's why you see this. This little thing is just kind of stabilizing my thumb so I don't move it too much while it's healing. Hopefully I'll only have to wear this for like a week or two. Anyway. Okay, so I keep the lyric in my head right now. Is excess ain't rebellion. Are you buying what they're selling? Rock and Roll Lifestyle by Cake. Anyway, I just wanted to be totally transparent with you guys. This is not, is it a relapse? I almost want to call it a planned relapse, but it wasn't planned. So what happened was, I have acquired all of these tarot and oracle decks in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And this isn't even everything. There's one other oracle deck that I was gifted that I'm going to end up gifting, so it's not here. And there's also another oracle deck, the Seasons of the Witch Yule oracle deck is also not here because I have it saved for like when it's Yule time. So it's put away and I didn't feel like getting it out because I have a few mobility issues right now with my injured thumb. But yeah, okay, so I wanted to just be super transparent with you guys. This is kind of my birthday haul. So and the reason why I was almost wanting to call it a planned relapse of, because I'm trying not to acquire things. It's not a planned relapse, but I knew that with my birthday coming up that I would likely be gifted a few, possibly 1 or 2 tarot decks or oracle decks. I knew that when I got birthday money from my grandparents, which I am incredibly lucky that even though I just turned 39 years old, both of my grandparents on my mom's side, my mom's parents, which are the 2 that I grew up with and spent the most time with, are still around and they're still doing mostly great. They both have like a little bit of mobility issues popping up, but just now, and my grandpa's 86 and my grandma's 83. So I still get like $200 for every birthday, even though I'm 39 years old. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's just the default that they give to everyone in my family, including their son-in-law, who makes way more money than them. I'm pretty sure they do that for him as well. And I can't believe he accepts it. But he probably just knows that my grandma's going to fight him if he doesn't accept it. But anyway, so I knew that I was going to be receiving some decks as presents. And I knew that I might even be buying myself some decks. I'm working on, at this moment, I am working on not feeling overwhelmed by this. Because getting this many divination decks at the same time is one of the triggers for me to feel super guilty, get rid of a bunch of stuff, and then, do the whole cycle. That is my cycle, is like compulsive purging and then binging again later with tarot and oracle decks. So I'm just going to kind of show off my little haul. I might not take things out of the boxes just because mobility issues at the moment. Because this brace isn't super rigid, so I could possibly like hurt myself if I go too far with trying to move. Anyway, but I do want to send out gratitude and appreciation for the gifts that I did receive. So this was my first birthday gift that I got from Meg at Rose Honey Ritual. She also sent me the Yule Oracle, which is not here. But, and this is just the empty box because I have it out right now. I'm using it as like a daily draw deck right now. And I really, really love it. So thank you again to Meg. And then, let's see. I guess we'll just go in chronological order. This last weekend on Saturday, I went to a witchy shop that's about an hour from my house. And I asked my new like thing whenever I go there is just to ask to look at their used bin. It's just like this one little plastic bin that they have like a few decks in, and they really only had like 5 decks in there, and I bought 2 of them. So these are 2 decks that I didn't think I would ever buy. I have Patrick Valence's other deck. I have his Marseille deck, the Paradoxical Purple edition of Trionfi della Luna, and I really like it. So I decided to go for it with this because it was $11 used, and I actually prefer used decks. And look, somebody has already edged it, and I would have just edged it in black anyway. So, and I actually I think I'm gonna like it. It's hard to tell right now just because I have so many new decks. It's hard to tell how I'm gonna feel. Like some of the imagery, like when I see it on screen, like you might be looking at it right now and be thinking, wow, that's really disturbing. For some reason, it feels different to me in person. And that's not me trying to get you to buy something, by the way. You don't need this deck, believe me. You don't need any. Maybe you need one tarot deck. But yeah, I'm really into it, actually. This one's particularly, I can't shuffle right now, guys, because of my thumb, which is really, really sad. Like I can overhand shuffle, obviously, but, and I'm getting a little bit better at overhand shuffling just because of this whole situation. But, I can't riffle shuffle, which I really prefer to do. But, so this deck is just a little bit harder to navigate shuffling because they're really tall, skinny cards. So this one hasn't gotten a whole lot of use. I mean, you know, I've only had it for, let's see, today's Thursday, so I've had it like 5 days at this point. But I think I'm going to work well with this, actually. I think this one's going to be a good... This one, for some reason, feels like... I think it's the color palette. Whenever I see a lot of these, like, sort of rich... moldy looking browns, I think of like November. So for some reason I'm thinking November might be the time for that deck to really start getting into it, but I think I'm gonna work well with it. And then the Thoth deck. This is hilarious to me because like I had pretty much decided I don't want to work with this goddamn deck. I had a copy, I think, gifted to me, or I bought it for myself. It's funny because the witchy store that I just got it from used is likely where I acquired my very first copy of this deck back whenever I was, you know, late teens, early 20s. Probably I was still in my teens the first time I acquired one of these decks. And so it would have been like 96, 98, somewhere around that time period. And I had that deck for a really long time. In fact, like one of my very first videos on this channel, back whenever I was doing just ASMR videos, was me using this deck. And I never really learned tarot back then, and I especially didn't learn Thoth. And when I brought it out to use it for that particular video, I think that's what triggered me to decide, you know what, I don't think this deck is for me. And that's when I started searching for my perfect tarot deck. That was kind of the beginning of that search. But it didn't really get serious until the last few years. Like apparently this is just a rambly video, but they all are. I think I bought like, I saw my very first tarot YouTube channel that I had ever come across was Truth and Story, Kelly at Truth and Story. And I saw her reviewing the Crystal Tarot. And so when I decided like this deck really isn't for me back in like 2013 or whatever it was, I saw that deck in one of her videos and I was like, maybe this is the deck for me. And I bought it. And that was like the only tarot deck that I had and used up until like 2018. And I only got it out to use it like once every few months, and I never really connected with it. But this deck came back into my life again. I think the exact same deck, actually, because a lot of the time whenever I'm deciding to get rid of something, if my mom notices, and at the time I was in 2013 when I got rid of this deck, I was living with her. So I think she probably sometimes she's like, well, let me just hold on to it for you. Or she'll act like she wants it. And then, like, 5 years later, I'll be talking about whatever that thing is, and she'll be like, hold on. And then she'll just give it back to me. So when I started getting obsessed with tarot again back in 2018, she actually had 3 copies in her possession at that time. She had the one that I gave to her whenever I was getting rid of it back in like 2013. She had, which is just a small version like this, but it came in the white box. And then she also had a second copy that was that same, like the smaller one in the white box, but then she also has a greenie. So she gave me all 3 of those decks, even though they were all just Thoth decks. And I worked with them for a little while. I ended up giving away one of them to a friend. Or maybe I gave 2 of them away to a friend, and I gave her back the greenie because that's the one that she likes the best, because she likes the green. So my mom is in possession of a greenie. And I gave away the other copies available, I think, unless my mom ended up taking. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter, Jesus. Okay. In any case, it's really funny because my very first Thoth deck was likely acquired from this same witchy store. I've never had one in like this cute purple box though. So I think this is the one for me, actually. And I'm using it, and I immediately like used some of my birthday money to like buy this book to go with it. And so far, I started reading it yesterday, and I'm already like, that's good for me. Like, I'm already that far into it. I'm already 47 pages in, and I'm enjoying it. Like, this Lon Milo Duquette, or Milo, his writing style is, he's explaining all the esoteric and arcane shit that happens in the Thoth Tarot, all the fucking layers of all the shit. He's explaining it in a pretty accessible way so far. So I'm really enjoying it. So I think this was it. I think I might actually keep the Thoth deck now. Yeah, I think I might. And I also, okay, just like as far as like adventures with the Thoth Tarot, because apparently I'm having them right now. So I posted that video on Monday about how I'm conceptualizing the court cards, which may or may not be right, but that's the way that I'm conceptualizing them. And I went through the little white book at the time because I didn't have this yet. It actually shipped really fast because I ordered it on Monday and I got it on Wednesday. But I discovered that, I mean, obviously, like, not all Thoth little white books are probably the same just because this deck has been in publication for so long. But in the back half of my little white book, there's like this little essay on the tarot by Frida Harris, who did the artwork. And then she has a description of the cards. She has her own like little white book meanings. In the beginning, it's just sort of like more generic little white book keywords and shit. But in the back, she's sort of describing more of the symbolism as she depicted it. Like if I were doing a real deep on Thoth Tarot, it would be, I'd be reading her descriptions of the cards in the back. And I just went through that with every single card on Monday, and that was really helpful for me understanding. So even if you have the Thoth deck and you haven't really gotten into it yet, and you don't have like all the fucking books that people say you're supposed to read, that might be a good start, because that was really helpful to me, understanding some of the symbolism in the cards, just reading Frida Harris's description of the cards in the back half of the little white book. I'd love to know like what era my particular Thoth deck is. So if you guys have that information, like on the box, there's copyright 78 and 83. On the backs of the cards, the copyright's 96. I don't know if you can tell by like the box. I'd love to know how old this one is. I'm guessing this is like a late 90s, early 2000s edition. I don't know when they stopped putting them on those ugly white boxes, but anyway, whatever. So that's Saturday. as you can see, of all of these, I've been working the most with the Thoth deck, which if you had told me 2 weeks ago that I was going to buy a Thoth deck and enjoy it and then buy a supplemental book to understand it, I would have been like, fuck you, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I hate that deck. But right now, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it at all. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, this book has been really helpful so far, just because I've tried to read the Book of Thoth by Aleister Crowley before, and it is just incomprehensible to me. So I may never read that one, but this book, and I've tried other Thoth books in the past. I owned one that was like Keywords of the Thoth or something like that the last time I had this deck, and I ended up getting rid of that whenever I got rid of my other copy of Thoth. So anyway, so that was Saturday. I also, on Monday, with that Thoth Tarot book, I ordered this for myself because I was just kind of planning. This is the only tarot deck that was planned with my birthday money, because I knew weeks ago that like if I didn't get this from my wish list, I was going to buy it for myself, because I've used the Everyday Witch Tarot app for years, and I have the Everyday Witch Oracle. This is one that's actually, it's still in order, which is very uncharacteristic for me. Usually I get a deck, I flip through it, and I immediately start shuffling it. Kind of because of my thumb, I was just like, I'm not doing it, and I have too many decks, and I don't want to get overwhelmed. So I just sort of kind of schmutz on my card there. So I'm already really familiar with this deck because of me having the app on my phone. With my new phone, I didn't buy the app again because I switched from Android to iPhone, so I would have had to buy the app again. And I just decided, instead of buying the app again, I'm just going to actually get this deck. And in the art style isn't totally me, but in person, it's very striking because of all the detail. It's all just really well done. And for a Llewellyn deck, a lot of the time, Shadowscapes, Darkwood, they tend to pick like artists that have really detailed, intricate art style. But in this case, they made it borderless, which makes it a lot easier to appreciate the details in the art. So, and I'm already, I work a lot with the Everyday Witch Oracle. It's one of my most used Oracle decks, especially for clients. So I'm already very familiar with just the vibe of this deck. So this one, I sort of made the conscious decision yesterday when I got it. It's like, okay, right now I'm really like nerding out on the Thoth Tarot, and I've got all these other new decks to work with as well. I'm going to allow myself, and I don't normally do this, I'm going to allow myself the luxury of just kind of putting it back in the box, keeping it in order, and just setting it aside. Usually that makes me feel incredibly guilty when I don't start using a tarot deck immediately, but I think I need to approach it that way right now, just so I don't compulsively get rid of it, since I've acquired so many in the last couple of weeks. The rest of these here were all gifted to me by the lovely, wonderful Suren, she's one of my patrons. We've kind of become friends. I do a lot of readings for her, and she is just the most generous human being. Hi, Suren, if you're watching. I kind of have like, this deck isn't in here right now. I kind of have, I have it. This is the deck I'm using this week, actually, as my like daily draw tarot deck. So this deck is funny because when the Kickstarter came out for this, I actually backed it and then backed back out of my backing of it. Back again 3 times. I can't make a 3. 3 times. Because I knew that I wasn't going to be happy with spending the money on it. Because it costs like, I think the Kickstarter was a little bit cheaper, but like to buy this deck new, it's like $68, I think. Which, honestly, I think is outrageous. But, and I don't think I had mentioned this to Sue Ren, and she just sort of said, I was afraid that you might have it already. It's incredibly generous of her that she bought me this deck. I think she didn't even know that I wanted it. She just said it reminded her of me. And which it's easy to see myself in this deck because it's depicting a white chick with long dark hair and glasses, of which I am all of those things. I don't think she has 2 nose rings like I do, but I could add them if I really wanted to. I could probably add nose rings to this artwork. Anyway, I really like it a lot. I think I am going to work really well with this deck. And this is honestly the only way I was ever going to acquire this deck is if it was gifted to me. So, and I love the sparkly silver edging. Actually, like, it really comes off on your hands. You can't really see it right now. And it's not going to do it forever. But, and I really like that because I love glitter. So, like, all my attempts at shuffling it so far, I've gotten so much glitter on my hands and it's so much fun. So far, really loving Moon Void Tarot. I think it's going to be, I think if I didn't think I looked like this chick, Stephanie Capone, if I didn't look like her, I wouldn't resonate with this deck, but I kind of look like her, so it works for me. And it comes with this big guidebook, which I haven't really gotten into yet, because I received, it was Tuesday, so it's been 2 days since I received this deck. And then she also sent me 8th House Tarot, which is a very tight box, which is still in order as well. And I like this sort of collage style, and like the astrology is on every card. This particular collage style I really like. It kind of reminds me of the Begin Oracle, which I did end up gifting to, or I sold it. I sold it. It wasn't a gift because that one was like kind of expensive. But this is another one that I haven't really gotten into yet. And I should forgive myself for that because I've had it less than 2 days. But I don't know, like this is typically a deck that might not work for me, but I've been wanting a deck with astrology really at the forefront. I still don't have, I have most of like the major, I think I have all of the astrology of the major arcana memorized at this point, but I don't have all the astrology of the minor arcana memorized. And I think this deck will help with that. And I actually do think like my first like flip through of it when I was going through it after getting it a couple days ago, I do think that the imagery chosen for each card makes sense. And I actually like this type of collage style. I like the colors. Yeah, for the most part, I think this is a pretty well done astrology deck. I'm not super into these backs just because of the 8. I mean, I guess I can just try to think of it as an infinity symbol or something. The box is really nice. Yeah, so I like it, but again, I'm giving myself permission to like, I am too overstimulated to deal with all of these decks at once, so I need to think of it like, okay, which one am I most drawn to right now? And really, for me, the ones that I'm most drawn to are these two right now. And I'm not even using this one as like a daily draw deck yet. I'm mostly just studying it right now. So yeah, so I'm using this deck to study, this deck as a daily draw oracle deck, and then this deck as a daily draw tarot deck right now. And I'm just kind of pretending that the other decks don't exist right now, because I will get overwhelmed and start getting rid of shit if I do. The other deck that I had out here, I haven't decided if I'm going to if this one's going to work for me or not. This cardstock is that terrible kind of cardstock, kind of like the Mystic Mondays cardstock, but it's a really cute color, kind of basic oracle deck. So I actually think this would be really useful in like pick-a-pile readings and maybe client readings too. And I like the simplistic artwork, actually. It's got this weirdo edging. Like it's gold, but it's also holographic, which I don't have anything else like it. It's very strange. This one might, you know what? This one might be a good one to keep in my car. Although I tend to keep a lot of decks in my car, and I don't actually, like, I'm always like, I need decks in my car in case I want to do a spontaneous reading, which does happen, but it doesn't happen that often. So, hunger. Yeah, it is actually almost lunchtime. So, there's that. Actually getting it out right now, I do think it might work for me, but I do think that this is another one. Sorry, I'm repeating myself so much. I thought I was going to be doing so many videos for you guys this week, but, you know, after I got injured, I just sort of moped around for a couple of days. Because I just, like, I never get injured. Knock on squishy ottoman. Yeah. I don't know how to deal with it. And I actually went to, after the first, like, 36 hours or so, it wasn't, like, the swelling wasn't going down, and my whole, like, this part of my hand was all, like, super swollen and bruised, and I'm like, okay, this might be serious. Like, I was pretty sure nothing was broken, because, like, after I injured it, I made sure that I could move everything, and I could. So I assumed that nothing was broken, but I was just like, well, just waiting around for it to get better is not working. So I actually went to convenient care and waited. Oh my God, I was there for over 4 hours. It was about 4.5 hours was how long I was there total. It was awful. They were so disorganized. And, you know, at the end of all of it, they were just sort of like, yeah, it's sprained. You should probably get, like, one of those little, like, sports thumb stabilizer things. And, yeah. It was so anticlimactic. I mean, that's a good thing that, like, nothing's broken and this is all I have to do, but just, like, the fact that I could have literally just gone to, like, a sports store, found one of these things for $20, and then come home, which would have taken me less than an hour versus, like, the whole ordeal took, like, about 5 hours, because as soon as I left the place, I had to go find one of these because they didn't have it. Plus, they would have charged me a bunch for it, I'm sure, if they did have something like this. Anyway, but at least I know for sure that nothing's broken. And we'll see how much I regret deciding to go to convenient care when I get the bill. I have no idea how much my insurance is going to cover. But it's new for me just even having insurance. Like, anyway, you guys don't care about all this personal shit, I'm sure. So, final summation. I've had sort of a relapse of, yeah, after all of the culling and the good work that I've been doing using the things that I have definitely acquired a lot of things, but that is normal for me to sort of have an acquisition phase at my birthday time. So I am choosing to not get overwhelmed, and it is a choice to not get overwhelmed for me right now. I have to consciously choose it. I have also, sort of in the spirit of reacquisition, spirit of acquisition in general, I have also kind of pulled out a few decks that were in my purgatory and brought them back into my collection to see how it goes. So at this point in time, as of like this time 2 weeks ago, I think I was at like 21 tarot decks and 14 oracle decks, and now I'm up to like 17 oracle and like 27 tarot, I think. So that is a number that feels a little high to me, but I'm starting to think that I might be kind of like Mary Grace. She said in one of her videos when she was, you know, doing all the culling stuff herself, she said that for her, she couldn't count. Like counting and keeping lists of what she has does not work for her. And I'm starting to think that I might be similar in that respect. I think it might not be very good for me to constantly keep track of everything that I have and to have that number, because knowing that I have 27 tarot decks right now feels excessive. But if I didn't know that I had that many, I have room for them. I have a system of like keeping the ones that I'm not currently using in a box, and like, you know, I have a system that's sort of working for me, and I do like to have variety. I do like to have, you know, things change out and that kind of stuff. So I might be deciding that I'm okay with, I don't know. I don't know what my number is, and maybe that's not the point. The point is that I enjoy my tarot practice and I enjoy the items that I have. That's all. That I enjoy and use the items that I have. And right now, with the exception of the ones that I'm not even ready to deal with yet, that I just acquired, I enjoy and use everything I have. And I'm not a person that holds on to things that I don't enjoy and use. So there's that. At this point, I am just saying a bunch of shit. So I hope you guys are having a great week. Hopefully now that I've sort of started to heal, like the swelling is almost entirely gone. I'm not going to take this off and show you, but the swelling's almost entirely gone now. I'm going to get back on my skates today. I took a break. But I'm gonna go for it again today. And hopefully I'm gonna learn not to put my hands down when I fall, because it's actually better to like try to come down on your knees if you've got knee pads, or try to come down like on the sides of your thighs and your ass, which I have a lot of meat there, so that would actually work well for me. I'd much rather have like, you know, skinned up thighs than have to deal with, you know, possible broken bones and shit. You know, I don't want to do that. This is my very first sports injury. That's what I'm going to call it, a sports injury. Because I'm so sporty. Oh my God. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week. Hopefully I'll be back with a couple more videos now that I've like sort of stopped feeling like I'm having an existential crisis from having one tiny little sprained thumb. I'm such a drama queen when I get hurt. Oh my God. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Bye!